right, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Fire Chief Adrian Shepard. As we begin here this evening, I want to take this opportunity to recognize the families and friends who are in attendance. I also want to recognize our retired members who are here. Thank you for your service. I want to recognize our staff members who are here in attendance. Thank you for supporting our promotees. And for Union President Luis Padilla, thank you, sir. Appreciate your service. So I've been told that the best speech is one that has a great opening, a memorable end, and very little in between. So I'll be sure to heed that advice and keep my words short tonight. The significance of today's appointments cannot be overstated. Richmond needs good leaders. Taking on increased leadership functions can be both exciting and forbidding. So when selecting leaders for the department, we set high standards. The leaders must embrace service excellence, community service, honor, respect, and the fundamental belief that our members are the foundation of the organization. We look for leaders who know how to get the job done, and today's appointees exemplify just that. The Richmond Fire Department has no limit to what it is that it responds to, and an obligation to serve willingly and compassionately. We have met this commitment for over 100 years by dedicated service to the citizens of Richmond. And the expectation is that we will continue this service as we forge our way into the future. Together, we have an opportunity to put forth an organization that exhibits excellence and resolves to support the passion and vision we have for our diverse community. Richmond Fire is extremely pleased and fortunate to have such professionals, hardworking firefighters who share a passion for our service, and I'm committed to providing a strong leadership team to support them. Today's appointees have demonstrated a keen knowledge of their duties, be it mastery of fire flow calculations, 2Q squared, Bernoulli's principle, Charles' law. You guys know all that, right? Okay. Attention to detail, diligence, and ensuring that every aspect of the apparatus is fully mission capable and ready for service. Our appointed leaders have demonstrated deep understanding of command, administrative functions, and appreciative inquiry into the being compassionate to lead followers. Each has demonstrated authenticity and credibility, and I'm confident that each appointee will meet success as they progress in their positions. Now, as customary in our department, when a member assumes a position or promotion, a speaker is brought forward to lend perspective on the promoted individual. Now, Battalion Chief Noah Brownlow doesn't want to bring anyone up but himself today. But before that happens, I'm going to say a few things. The time that I've been here, I've never received a higher level of support, the higher level of dedication that you have provided to me and the rest of the members of this department. You are intent on doing the hard right over the easy wrong each and every time. You are truly a leader, and I learn from you always. And with that, I'll allow you to come forward, sir. And we'll just break with our tradition. We'll go ahead and do our badge pinning first. And so who we have pinning you today is Dr. Roger Brownlow. Sir, thank you for your service. Is that infantry?
Yes, sir.
Whoop. All right.
Hear all about it.
Okay. And assisted by his brother, Nate Brownlow. All right.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Noah Brownlow, recently promoted Battalion Chief, Richmond Fire Department. We're here to celebrate the promotion of these gentlemen here tonight. For my part, I'd like to thank Chief Shepard and Chief Moulton for the help you guys have provided me over my career. I also wanted to thank Lisa Stevenson with the HR staff. I don't see her here tonight, but she's putting on the test, instrumental in helping me develop. Louis Padilla, see you in the back, Union President. I also wanted to thank my former crew, Engineer Carolyn Connery and Firefighter Andrew Balcom. They made my job easy when I was a captain. In particular, I wanted to thank my wife and children, keep me honest, my daughter Lola, my son Ron, and my wife Nejma. He's got some words to speak to. We were remembering or reflecting on the past just a couple of weeks ago. My wife and I, we've been together, let me get this right, 15 years this year, I believe. Married 15 years this year, and together for a few years before that. And we were remembering how we used to be squeezed in this little tiny 400 square foot apartment. She was going to school and working full time, and I was going to school and working full time. And we just had one car between us, and I'd have to drive out to school and then drive all the way back to the city to pick her up at like 2 a.m. She worked at a restaurant, and then go back to work early in the morning. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, that's crazy. We just had one car between us that we shared. And she was like, that was my car. I was just letting you use it. I was like, yeah, that's right, you were. And she also paid for my paramedic school. So thank you for that and for everything else along the way. The second person you guys got to see is my grandfather, Roger Brownlow. Try to do this without crying. And I asked him to pin my badge because he's had such a profound impact on who I've become and my career in the fire service. He turns 97 this year, and you can learn a lot from someone who's that old and who's been through the things that he's been through. I'm trying to keep this short and tell you a little bit about him and I picked two things in particular that he taught me. So he was born in 1922 in Cleveland, Ohio. He was the third of 4 boys. And when he was 6 years old, his father, who was a World War I veteran, was killed in a fire along with 100 other people, Cleveland Clinic fire. And he had escaped the fire originally, but had gone back in with a lot of other people to help pull other people out. And he lived through the fire, but he died 2 days later, left my great-grandmother a widow with 4 young children. So she moved home to New York, and this was in 1929, which, if you know your history, was the start of the Great Depression. So they did what I guess everybody tried to do, is look for work. And my father, or my grandfather, worked through elementary school, through middle school, through high school, and earned a spot in college, Purdue, 1941. So he didn't make it through that first year because he volunteered for the United States Army. He was in the 84th Infantry Division, 333rd Regiment, 2nd Battalion, Company George. And they landed at Omaha Beach at the end of 1944 and spent 7 months in Germany. And his company suffered 80% casualties. He earned a Bronze Star, Combat Infantry Badge, and a medal from the Russian Army for bravery. They fought alongside the Russians when they were moving through Germany. He came back from the war. He and his wife, my grandmother, had 2 children. He got a bachelor's degree in engineering. He got a master's degree in engineering. Went to work as an engineer in California with his 2 kids. Finished his career, went back to school, got a PhD in engineering, taught at Gonzaga University, Michigan State University, Rochester Institute of Technology, and then went back to work again as a senior engineer with Kodak. Moved out here about 5 years ago. And as I said, there's 2 stories that I wanted to share with you. I spent a lot of time with him after dinner over a bottle of wine, just getting the history. But there were two things that stood out. One was when he and my brother went to go see a movie together, and they saw a movie, Fury, which is about a tank in Germany. My twin, Brad Pitt, was the star. Anyways, they named the tank was named Fury. And afterwards, my brother said, "Hey, did you guys have any cool nicknames for your unit?" And he thought about it, and he was like, "Nah, you know, the guys who had the planes and the tanks, they always gave them a name. But in the infantry, we just had our boots. We didn't name our boots." They were 100% committed to their mission. They had no time or energy for anything else. Anything else was a distraction, and they wanted to get their mission done, which they did. That stuck with me. The second story I found when I was reading an interview that my grandfather gave for the Library of Congress with a program with the Veterans Administration. And in it, he talked about his career working in the aerospace industry as an engineer. This was in the 1960s during the Vietnam War. And my grandfather found out that the company that he worked for had a defense contract. He didn't like what was going on, and he quit. He left his job and his career behind because it clashed with his convictions and his beliefs. He had the courage and conviction to think for himself, make a stand, even though it was unpopular at the time. So what do those two things mean for me, and what do they mean for us as a department? The fire service is a traditional place, but we can't afford to be defined by our traditions or our past. Those are somebody else's accomplishments. Each generation has to define itself and create its own identity, and that's what you and I are here for. We all have to make difficult decisions on the job. This is especially true for captains, Captain Bartesch and Captain Davis. You're going to be asked to make hard decisions. They might not be popular, and often the correct choice will not be obvious. Remember those two things when you're faced with those decisions. Number one, stick to your mission and don't name your boots. Our mission is to protect the public. Don't become distracted or let your crews become distracted from that mission. Number two, have the courage and conviction to make the hard decisions even when they aren't popular. Most of your work is going to happen before you ever get to the fire. If you can remember those two things, you can be successful, and if you can be successful, we can be successful. I said I'd keep it short, and I will. I just have one more quick announcement. Roan, come up here for a second. Come on. Come here, buddy. He's going to be shy. Now, don't worry, this is not a repeat. My father died when I was a teenager. He was born on May 31st. My son was also born on May 31st. So today is not just our ceremony for badge pinning and promotion, it's my son's 4th birthday. I want to say happy birthday, Ron. Thank you for sharing your special day with me, buddy. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed, happy birthday. And for Dr. Brownlow, thank you for your service. Appreciate you. All right, Patrick. So as I said, we have a speaker come up to give comment on the person being promoted. I know this one's going to be lively. How could it not? So, Union President Luis Padilla, please come forward, sir.
How do you follow that? Thank you, Dr. Brownlow, for your service. Before I begin, I want to congratulate the other honorees, engineers and captains. I envy you guys, man. You guys got a great career ahead of you. Patrick Jackson III. PJ got promoted again. All right. He worked very hard to get to where he's at. Pat took all the classes he could get. I mean, anything that was available, you know, he'd always give me a call, or, you know, the Fire Marshal Govan, you know, he was always after us. You know, this is something Pat really worked hard for. He really wanted it. And, you know, he'd do ride-alongs with me, you know, to get better understanding. And he was always asking questions, and it was very clear that Pat was very passionate about becoming a fire inspector. He'd go to, you know, seminars and all that stuff. I'm very proud of you, Pat, man. You've come along. I mean, you pushed, man. Pat asked me a couple things, you know, when he asked me to speak for him. First is he wanted me to be brief, which I will. And he told me not to bring up the Pimp of the Year thing, okay? So I don't know if you guys, I don't know if we're here for when he was promoted engineer, but it seemed like when I would talk to Pat, you know, something to talk about, all his milestones seemed to happen during the Pimp of the Year. It was just kind of bizarre. So I won't bring it up, okay, Pat? I won't talk about that, man. Anyways, it's the year of the rabbit this year, so we're good. As I said, Patrick is very persistent. It seemed like every time, you know, he took this inspector's test, something would always happen to push him back. Either the list ran out, or, you know, the test was, you know, tossed, or something would always happen. But Pat would always be right there in line, getting ready, putting in his application, taking his class, and pushing forward, you know. And just a model, I mean, just talk about persistence, man. This Pat, you can't, I mean, you push him down, he's going to get right back up, you know. And I've known Pat for 22 years. And that's the way he's always been. He's always talked about education. He's always, you know, his daughter just graduated from Purdue University with an engineering degree. Can we get an applause for Jordan? Congratulations, Jordan. And his son, Julian, is going to Prairie View University, playing baseball, Division I baseball player. So, you know, he's passed it on to his children. And personally, Pat had a hand in our life as well. I mean, because Pat is always about helping people. He's always about sharing information. And Pat, you know, because my son and his son Julian are the same age. And we had a great time going to that baseball academy. Well, I'll talk about it later. Right? But Pat would always tell me, hey, there's a college fair. Hey, get your son in the SMASH program. And to the point where it's like, Pat, leave me alone. You know, come on, let me do my thing. But Pat wanted to make sure that I was taken care of, and that's who Patrick Jackson is, man. He's a very kind-hearted person. He's very helping. He shares information, and I'm so proud of him. This is just I wish everybody could just see what I saw through my eyes, what this young man, sorry, what this guy went through to get to where he's at. Ladies and gentlemen, he deserves this. And let me introduce to you Fire Inspector Patrick Jackson. Congratulations, man.
I'm gonna keep this short. I don't have a prepared speech, but it's funny how things interact and people past and presents intertwine and meet. Like you said, your grandfather went to Purdue. My daughter graduated from Purdue. Today is also my youngest son's birthday. He's May 31st, but he's 20 years old today. And but this has been a trying week. It's our anniversary, over 25 years. That's the safest thing to say. You can't remember the exact date. Over 25 years, but let's just say over. Yeah, but I gotta be honest though. But, you know, I gave thanks to my wife because she put up with me for all these years, and she understood all the trials and tribulations that I had to go, not only with this, but my whole experience, problems I had or issues I had within the department. She's the one that talked me down from choking some people every once in a while, too. So, but, other than that, my 4 kids, Jordan, Julian, Patrick, and Anshel, they're here. My son Patrick, he just got discharged out of the Navy for medical retirement. And my daughter Anshel, she's working hard, doing her thing, and give thanks to them. My mom, a lot of my characteristics is from my mom. So if I'm not nice I don't say nice, if I'm like a little impatient or a little aggressive, that's because I developed that trait from her, because I learned early on, you don't take no mess from nobody, and you can't take no for an answer if you want something. So I know the fire service, some people that didn't understand that, but having that background and having my military background where I was taught to always do things right or get things right the first time, you know, it's hard for me to adjust to the city government life because I'm just seeing things that just didn't make any sense. So early on, I tried to develop my skills, help out wherever I can, try to make the department as progressive as possible, designing their websites, the very first one for the fire department, helping, teaching the people how to get internet without paying the $1,500 for a service called CoreNet. It's just the little skills that I learned when I worked at Intel, try to bring to the city, but you know, progress is not well accepted from people who don't understand. And so I caught a lot of flack and a lot of people just didn't understand, but had they known, it would have been a lot better. But other than that, I'm thankful for this position. To be honest with you, I'm happy. I'm having fun. I know everybody said, oh, the best job in the fire department is engineer. Well, I was an engineer. I was on the truck. I did a lot of stuff. No, I'm having fun now. I'm serious. I get to go talk to business owners, interact with the public. But the best thing I like doing is making sure that the city is getting the right amount of money that they deserve to get when they're charging these businesses. I love that. I love making the correction, finding out where there's some errors, because like I said, my wife had her own appraisal business, and I was the enforcer. When somebody didn't want to pay for appraisal, I didn't have a problem going out and getting my check. I don't have a problem at all. So that's what the city of Richmond has inherited in me, somebody who's going to go out there and do what they have to do to make sure that the city is getting their fair dollar. And that's who I am. But I'm having fun, and I guess I'll just keep it short. And but honestly, these gentlemen right here, I have fun working with them all throughout the time. Noah too, when he first came on. But I do got to thank Louis, because Louis's been there for me, Manley too, and a bunch of guys on the back wall. Everybody really has helped me out, so I appreciate all that. And that's it. All right. Oh, okay.
So that's the pitfall of not having a prepared speech, by the way, just so you know. Penn and Patrick this evening will be his wife, Tanai. Tanai? All right. I also wanted to say that everything other than that Pimp of the Year part is very true about Patrick. He shows up every single day with a smile on his face, ready to go, and just so positive. I'm very, very pleased with you, Patrick. Thank you. Okay. Captain Dan Kennedy, you in the house? All right. Come on up. Come forward, sir. So Captain Kennedy is going to speak for Captain Nicholas Bartesch. Get your napkins or your handkerchiefs out.
I don't want to bring my glasses.
5 minutes.
I got you. Big font.
Mr. Brownlow, thank you again for your service to our country, sir. We appreciate you greatly. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Kennedy. I currently serve as a captain at Engine Company 62 on the B shift. I would like to start by congratulating all of you on your promotions tonight. This is an exciting time for you, your families, as well as the Richmond Fire Department. I'm here tonight on behalf of two of the newly appointed captains, Captain Nick Bartesch and Captain Ron Davis. I've had the honor to work with both of these men over the last few years at Engine 62. I want to say that I'm extremely proud of both of them and all the hard work they have put into becoming captains here in the Richmond Fire Department. I'd like to start with Captain Nick Bartesch. But before I do, I want to say thank you to Nick's mom and dad that are here with us tonight. Mr. and Mrs. Bartesch, you did an excellent job, and you raised a great young man. I've been truly blessed with some of the best and most motivated people to come to work at Engine Company 62. Nick is definitely one of those men. Nick was my firefighter after he worked with Captain Palachek, who's in the back with us, undoubtedly where Nick got his solid foundation. Nick was one of those young firefighters that had it all. Nick was motivated to be the best firefighter he could be, and he prided himself on practicing his craft to be ready for any emergency that came his way. Nick was an excellent role model for all of our firefighters to follow. And in 2017, I asked Nick, as well as Captain Rodriguez, that's in the room with us this evening as well, to come teach with me as drill instructors for class 2017-1. It was then I realized Nick had another talent. Nick was an excellent instructor. He's a natural. The way he taught classes in the classroom or conducted a drill on the drill ground, Nick's command presence and his attention to the smallest details of the job was contagious. Not only to the recruits, but to Captain Rodriguez and myself as well. After the academy, Nick unfortunately left Engine Company 62 and bid to Engine 68 to work with another one of our mentors in the department, Captain Jermaine Gomez. Nick told me it wasn't personal, but that he told me he wanted to go to Engine 68 because they had an engine and truck company where he could prepare on a daily basis to be proficient in both of these pieces of equipment. As sad as I was to lose Nick, I understood why he wanted to go. You see, Nick wasn't preparing for the engineer's test. Nick was preparing for the job. And he knew looking forward, whether it was going to be as an engineer or as a captain, he needed to understand all the aspects of the job and the challenges that came with each position. Fast forward, Nick was successful in the process and was promoted to engineer. Shortly after becoming an engineer, Nick took the captain's exam and came out #1 on the test. Any of you that taken a promotional exam know how hard it is to study for one, never mind 2 tests in a short period of time. It was no doubt due to his hard work, taking classes across the country, teaching classes, and putting time to prepare for the job and not just the test. I had spoke to both Chief Shepard and Chief Usher about Nick coming out #1 on the captain's test. Neither of them were surprised. They knew Nick, and they knew his love and passion for the job. They knew Nick cared about doing the job right at all times, under any conditions. They also knew They also knew I was going to let Nick run Engine Company 62 in preparation for him being promoted. The only advice Chief Shepard gave me was make it quick because he's going to get promoted soon. So the work began. We worked on arrival reports, why we place our engine and truck companies the way we do. We talked about strategy and tactics, personnel issues that may come up and how to handle them, report writing, developing his own list of expectations, and what makes a great firehouse as well as a great engine or truck company. We also talked about how to keep your people safe, and that as an officer, you're a servant leader, and you put your people before yourself. The reality is, Nick was already familiar with all of this. He's a true student of the fire service. Nick, you've been a leader from the moment you stepped in the Richmond Fire Department. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is truly an honor to present to you Captain Nick Bartesch.
Thank you, Captain Kennedy, for those words. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's unfortunate that I don't have you all as a captive audience for the next 20 minutes because I would probably just play Lieutenant Ray McCormick's FDIC keynote speech titled True Values of a Firefighter. But since I don't, I'll try to keep it to the 5 minutes that we were given. When I sat down to think about the remarks I wanted to make tonight, there really wasn't one message or idea that stuck with me. I really kept thinking about people. In Spanish, the word fire department is cuerpo de bomberos. The word cuerpo literally means body. I think they got it right in Spanish because it's true that the fire department gets its strength and character from the individuals who collectively, united under one mission, make it up. Our fire department is no different, and it has some phenomenal individuals. I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with some of them, and I would like to thank those individuals who have played a large role in getting me to where I am today and helping to prepare me for the position of captain with the Richmond Fire Department, a position that I am humbly stepping into. I'd like to start with Captain Mark Lucero. Thank you not only for your instruction in our recruit academy, but thank you also for continuing to show us what having passion for the job is all about. Thank you to my first captain off of probation, Captain Mark Palachek. Captain Palachek undoubtedly laid a foundation of success for me, as Captain Kennedy also mentioned, teaching me what attention to detail, depth of knowledge, a no-quit work ethic, and tough love is all about. Thank you, Captain Dan Kennedy, for your support both professionally and personally. You've been a tremendous mentor to me and have continued to push me outside of my comfort zone. And specifically, thank you for extending the opportunity to myself and to Captain Rodriguez to teach with you in the academy. Thank you to Captain Jermaine Gomez. He really gave me the freedom as a firefighter to try out new ideas and supported all my projects at the station and with our equipment. Thank you to Battalion Chief Aaron Osario. He was our B shift battalion chief and is now the chief of training. He opened many opportunities to me, both in training and with the apparatus committee. Also, if it hadn't been for a very, very real conversation I had with him at the back of Station 68, I probably never would have taken the captain's test. Thank you to the chief officers and specifically to the fire chief for having the faith in me to offer me this position. I'd also like to quickly thank a number of my fire service mentors outside of the Richmond Fire Department who are certainly not here, but I think deserve mention. Dennis Laguerre, he's retired out of the Oakland Fire Department. His depth of knowledge and instruction inspired me to dig deeper, specifically related to fire gun hydraulics. Cody Trestrail of the Portland Fire Department and his brothers in battle cadre, they showed me what hard work and determination can really accomplish. Aaron Fields in the Nozzle Forward cadre for the reminder that work is the shortcut and for his systematic approach to engine company basics. And Chief Billy Goldfeder of the Loveland Sims Fire Department, whose books Pass It On 1 and 2 are the most inspiring fire service texts that I've read to date. I would encourage all that are here that are in the fire service to go pick up a copy of his books, Pass It On 1 and 2. I'd also like to say thank you to all my 2013 classmates. Special recognition to Brother Christopher Tapia for his resilience he's shown in the face of adversity. Thank you to the 2017 class of firefighters for enduring my instruction in the academy. As you move forward in your careers, remember to stick to the messages and values that were delivered in your academy. No egos. Thank you to the RFD FOG members for keeping tradition alive and to all Local 188 members. Thank you to my old backcountry supervisor, Stephen Addison. He's an excellent leader of men and women. I was fortunate to have had the chance to work for him, and he continues to work hard, and I mean work hard, day in and day out, providing life-changing opportunities to young men and women in the East Bay. There he is. And lastly, thank you to my family for your love and support. My father was born in a refugee camp in Austria on a dirt floor and grew up in an immigrant family in Chicago. My mother was born to Depression-era parents. Neither of them are strangers to hard work. In many ways, tonight is a celebration of the foundation that was laid by your parents and by the values and work ethic that you passed on. And thank you to my brothers who are both undoubtedly leaders and innovators in their own field. Well, I wasn't able to play you Ray McCormick's speech, but I'll leave you with the cliff notes. We need leaders who inspire our people. We need leaders who understand that what we do makes a difference. It makes a difference that we turn out quickly. It makes a difference that we stretch correctly. It makes a difference that we do a search. It makes a difference that we have leaders that believe in the core values of courage, determination, and pride. It's a privilege to be in the fire service. It's a privilege to work with people who care about other people. And always remember, it's about them. Thank you.
So Nick is going to be pinned by his brother, Eric. Eric, would you come forward, please? Hey, sir. Wise words spoken from such a young person, truly ahead of your time. Captain Dan Kennedy. Captain Dan Kennedy will be coming up to speak on behalf of Captain Ron Davis.
Unfortunately, Mr. Davis could not be here tonight, Ron's dad, due to illness, but if he was here, I'd also tell Mr. Davis he raised a great man and a son to be proud of, and we thank him for that. To Ron's wife, Wynette, and his son, Brandon, congratulations. The hard work you have done as a family, supporting Ron as he prepared for the captain's position, has paid off. So about a year ago, Ron reached out to me and stated he would like to bid back to Engine Company 62 as my driver in order to prepare for his role as a captain. Of course, I said yes. Ron was a veteran firefighter in our department and was very well respected. He has over 20 years on the job. 14 years of that time was spent working at Engine Company 62 prior to my arrival. Ron also worked for two of the best members to ever work in our department, Captain Rich Stoneman, who couldn't be here with us tonight, and Engineer Bruce Tinloy, who's in the back. Rich and Bruce, thank you for your service and for leading the way for us to follow. Without a doubt, Ron had two things: excellent mentors and a lot of fires under his belt working at Engine Company 62. We are happy to have Ron back in our company. And in typical Ron fashion, he stated, "I've been on the job for a while now. I have a lot to learn about being a captain." If anything, it was even harder for Ron. Everyone that was helping him on our shift was one of Ron's dear friends. We all love him like family because Ron's a great person, but he also understood that business is business. Ron would always listen to what we had to say, put a smile on his face, and Ron kept grinding. The ability to do that, to listen to your friends, and to have them critiquing you is no doubt a testament to Ron's character as a man. You see, it doesn't matter how long you've been a firefighter or an engineer. With every promotion comes more and more responsibility. It's easy to critique what the captain should be doing from the back seat as a firefighter or even from the engineer's seat. You have all the answers when you sit in those seats. Trust me, I've been there. But when you transition into that captain seat, you understand in an instant that you got so much more to learn. Ron knew that, and without a doubt, he was up for the challenge. From day one back in our company, Ron was in the captain seat running all aspects of the company. Ron, Chris Silvis, our firefighter, and myself spend hours and hours talking tactics and strategy, engine company operations, arrival reports, one of our favorites, EPCRs, personnel issues, as well as leadership. Ron was working extremely hard every day at work and at home to make sure he was ready when the chief gave him that call. Every one of us on our shift watched Ron grow tremendously over the year that he was back at Engine 62, a testament to his hard work and dedication to being the best captain that he could be. At Engine 62, when one of our members promotes to captain, we want them to be prepared as possible. We want them to understand that as a leader, if no one is following you, you're not leading. But even more importantly, we want them to know a true leader creates more leaders and pays it forward. That right there is called succession planning, and it's what makes the fire departments successful. There is no doubt that Ron understands this concept, as we all see him working hard every day to be the best captain that he can be. Ron, I cannot tell you how proud of you I am and what you've accomplished. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you Captain Ron Davis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming out this evening to help us celebrate our accomplishments. Special thanks to all the friends and families. None of this would be possible without your sacrifice, love, and support. To the chief officers for entrusting us with the responsibilities of our new positions. Wow, all that hard work paid off. When I started this journey, I had no idea what I was in for. I figured I would study hard, give it my best shot, and boy, was I ever wrong. I had no idea of the life-changing journey this would be. I had to dig deep inside of myself, deeper than I ever went before, in order to cross the finish line. I eventually got to the point of no return with my commitment. The sacrifice of long days and sleepless nights, the never-ending mood swings with my family that my family had to endure. Speaking of family, one of the things I'm most proud of is that my son was able to witness the hours and days that I put into studying for the captain's test, setting the example for him to show him when you want something bad enough, nothing can stop you. When my son found out that I passed the captain's test, he left me a note, and he left it on a Post-it note on a box of hot tamales in kid fashion. And I'd like to read you that note that he left for me. It says, "Congratulations, Dad. You studied your butt off," and he didn't use butt, but you studied your butt off to get this far in life, and it all paid off. You are a successful fire captain, fantastic cook, wonderful and silly person to be around, an all-around amazing father. I couldn't have asked for anyone better to take care of this legend, talking about himself, and his stunning wife, and my mom, and the grandfather who cares so much about us, and the pain in the butt dog. She was a puppy, so it took a little bit puppy training to get her through. You deserve this to be successful. You deserve to be this successful in life. Congrats, Dad. And that was from him. Thank you to my wonderful wife for picking up the slack during the process and putting up with my crankiness and the emotional roller coaster ride that I know I was on. I couldn't have done it without you, babe. I love you. Thank you for my parents for instilling the no-quit attitude in me. My dad was unable to be here tonight, but he is here in spirit. One of the phrases he always would say to me as he watched my successes in life and some of my failures, he would always say, "You're my horse, no matter what, win or lose." Thank you to all my brothers, all of you back there. The tough love that you gave me was insurmountable. At times, it seemed like at every turn, there was a left cross, a right cross, an uppercut from each and every one of you guys. But I stayed in the fight, and I asked for more. Danny, boy, oh boy, did we get to know each other or what? I can't thank you enough, brother, for the time you put into me, coaching and scolding me from the driver's seat, the late-night critiques, and the real conversations that didn't fall on deaf ears. We went from what the blank was at all the way to my first fire as a promoted captain. I think my very first fire with you will always be our most memorable time together. In one word that sums it up was konnichiwa. We had a lot of good times together, brother, and I'm looking for a lot more. Thank you to the rest of the people that helped me. The captains that are on R&B shift, Mark, Rico, can't forget Mark Lucero, Aaron Osario, Jason Flom, and if I forgot any names, believe you me, each and every one of you guys had a piece of this, and a piece in making me who I am today. Thank you all. Everybody have a good night.
So Captain Davis will be pinned by his son, Brandon. And as Brandon makes his way up here, I just want to say every single time we have an exchange, you and I, we always talk about family and, you know, you either taking the kids to go do something, play sports or something like that, and you always greet me with a smile, and we always have a good exchange, and I really appreciate that about you. You're very personable, and you're so deserving of this, and I monitored your performance. I told you I would. Yes, and I've monitored your performance, and you've done an excellent job thus far, and I know you're only going to get better. So. Okay, so next we have, speaking for Engineer Frank Marin, we have Captain Paul Gutierrez. All right.
Well, I was under the impression that the speech was a 5-minute combined speech, so Frank will get a little extra time to talk. But luckily he got promoted when he did, because I don't know if this Class A would fit in a couple more years for his promotion. First and foremost, I'm truly blessed and honored to be here to speak on behalf of Frankie. Engineer Marin. Gotta respect the rank. For those who do not know, Frank used to work for the Clark County Fire Department in Las Vegas. This is where I met Frank and ended up working with him for about 8 years at Station 17, where he was a fireman and I was an engineer. When you live with the guy day in and day out for that long a period, you really get to know him, as I'm sure all of you experienced that. Of the many things I learned about Frank, the few I can mention here today is that he's a very positive person. He's self-motivated, he's knowledgeable, and is up to any task. He was always the go-to firefighter for me at the station. So when Frank decided he wanted to test for engineer in Las Vegas, I gladly accepted the challenge of prepping him for the job, and boy, was it a challenge. We spent countless hours going over engineering and pumping in the back of the station, and needless to say, I was ecstatic for Frank when he successfully passed the exam and was in line to receive a badge. That ecstasy was quickly overshadowed when Frank told me he got hired here and would be moving. I knew we were losing a stand-up guy, and on a more selfish thought, all that time we spent training went right down the drain. Well, Frank proved me wrong when he told me he was getting promoted to engineer here in Richmond. All of our hard work didn't go to waste. Conversely, the fruits of our labor were just delayed. Now, I'd like to think I taught Frank everything he knows about being an engineer, but I know that's not true. Knowing Frank, I'm sure he has spent countless hours perfecting his craft and will continue to do so as his career progresses. I have no doubt you will be successful in this endeavor, Frank. I'd just like to leave you with this last thought, Engineer Marin. Drive the call and drive it safely. Make sure everyone goes home to their families at the end of the shift. And last but not least, enjoy the ride. I'd like to present to you Engineer Marin.
I wrote a speech. I'm going to try not to use it, shoot off the hip. That's how I like to roll. I'll tend to look at it here and there, though, just to make sure I don't forget nothing. Thanks to all the families for coming out, supporting us. The rest of you guys getting promoted, along with my classmate, Mikey V. Love you guys. Chief, thank you. Chief Usher, he's not here, but thank you guys for having the faith in me to be able to do the job, promoting me. And I love what I do, and I love driving here. This is where I was raised. This is where I grew up. And it's a blast, actually, driving around the city. I don't even have to, most of the time, look at the map. I just hear the numbers, and I'm out. We're out of the station. So thank you for that. Thanks to all the BCs I've worked for since I've gotten here. The words we've had, conversations, encouragement, they really are appreciated. Chief Osorio was my first BC when I got here. We had some long talks at the table when he wasn't, as he says, chiefing. We would have a conversation here and there. He provided me with some good information on our trucks, and anytime I had a question about anything, he was the one I went to. I appreciate that. I'm gonna start off, my beautiful wife. Thanks, honey. I know, this ain't easy. I know, I get it. I could be rough, especially when it's exam times and those times when I'm home but I'm not home, and I gotta read, and I'm sitting, I'm trying, or I gotta go to the library. It's hard, but this is where we're at now, and I just want to appreciate you and thank you for everything that you do for me, for our kids, for our family. Mom, I love you. I love you. Thank you for always being there when I need you and call you. Pop, I hated going to the shop when I was young, but I know you were teaching me how to put in work, and you taught me a lot of stuff
that I use to this day. Fredo, I know I started driving young, but with you, you got me driving and you taught me how to drive. So, I mean, even when I didn't want to. So, Cynthia, you know, I could call you if I needed you. I love you guys. Paulie G, as I know you. Captain Gutierrez, you just heard him speak. You guys put on a lot of effort and time, like you said, in the back of 17, and it didn't go to waste. You know, I love you guys for that. And I have no doubt that you guys provided me with a solid foundation just to keep learning and do what I do, and I love what I do, so hopefully I make you guys proud of all the effort. I'm gonna pick it up here, stop trying to get so emotional, and when I first got here, I got assigned to Station 66. I worked for Captain Gomez, Engineer Phelps at the time, he's now a captain, and I worked for Firefighter Montez. I just want to say thank you for you guys accepting me with an open mind. I know we came in on a lateral class, and allowing me to show you guys that I have what it takes to be here, and allow me to prove to you guys that I could put in the work, and thank you for that. And you guys supported me and challenged me as well to make sure you guys need to know what I know, make sure I could do the job. Engineer Perry, I'm not sure if he's here or not, was the first engineer here to help me get ready for all the engineer stuff. You know, he ran through me over all our engines, you know, what they're about. If I had a question about the rigs, he's the one I went to right out of the gate. A couple other people I want to thank. Captain Gross, Captain Flom, Engineer Quillen, Captain Phelps. You guys spent a lot of long days with me here as well at the tower. And I truly appreciate the time and effort you guys put in here as well. And letting me get all the reps I needed, no matter how long it was. If we were hungry, I get hungry. I like to eat. You guys know that. So I definitely appreciate that. Thanks to all the crews I worked for over my time here. You guys, again, letting me ride the seat. The more reps I get, the better it is. So I appreciate the engineers letting me ride. Engineer Gomez, Engineer Hernandez, Tate, Rath, Engineer Schott. You know, little conversations we had here. A couple nuggets you guys shoot me along the way. They're not forgotten. I appreciate it. To my classmates, again, I love you guys. I know you guys are all here. I've seen you walking around. If I forgot to mention anybody, I really apologize. And I just want to thank everybody again, coming out, supporting us, for everybody that supported me along the way. I really appreciate it. To my family, my wife, I love you, honey. Everything I do is for us, and hopefully make you guys proud. There we go, Nguyen. That's it. Thank you. I'm out.
So Engineer Marin will be pinned by his wife, Marisol. And as she makes her way up here, okay. As she makes her way up with the kids, just to note that as busy as you are at work, some of the praiseworthy mentions are that you're also just as busy when you're not at work. Yep. And oftentimes, when I'm driving down the street, I would see you out in the field coaching the kids in soccer and giving back to the community. So this is truly a man of his word, doing exactly what he said he was going to do, and it's truly appreciated. Captain Michael Rodriguez in the house? All right. So Captain Michael Rodriguez will be coming up to speak on behalf of Engineer Tony Nguyen. All right.
Good evening, everybody. Congratulations to y'all. Thanks for allowing me to be up here, speak on your behalf. Chief Shepard, Chief Moulton, all the retired personnel, family, friends, department personnel that came out tonight. Thank you for coming out here and spending time with us and recognizing our department's newly promoted personnel. I've known Tony for about 6 years now, and since his promotion, he's been driving for me. And for those that know Tony, know that he brings in energy that's nonstop. Nonstop energy, doesn't quit working, and he does it with a smile on his face. From 07:30 in the morning when he starts his shift to 07:30 when he ends it. And for those that do not know Tony, I'd like to share some of the actions that he showed on a training drill we had not too long ago. It was multi-jurisdiction, involved a lot of different departments and personnel, and took place in Antioch. And everybody who's familiar with the area knows that it gets pretty hot and pretty warm over there. We're out there and we were tasked with decontamination during a multi-casualty hazardous materials incident. We got out there and then initially tasked Tony to set up emergency and gross decon. And within minutes, he had it set up with an engine company that he's never worked with before. I was able to turn around, let him do his thing while I got a briefing at the CP, the command post. He had it up within minutes. We were tasked, once it was all set up, we were tasked to start decontaminating all the walking wounded victims. It was going smoothly until Murphy decided to pay a visit and remind us about his law. We lost communication with the entry team inside, and they started stacking up non-ambulatory patients or victims right at our entrance to our decon. Tony recognized that, with that being said, Tony took that, knew and understood the objective that needed to be met, recognized the problems that he had, and adapted and overcame. He looked out, gathered as much backboards as he could, and with his gear on, his breathing apparatus, he and our firefighter would carry victims through two opposing hose streams, so they're getting soaking wet to wash off all the contaminants, and carry them 100 yards and pass them off to paramedics, the medical group. 6 to 8 patients later, 6 to 8 showers later, 6 to 800 yards later, we finished our objective. And not once did he complain, not once did he lower his shoulder or show any sign of fatigue. He just dropped the patient off, got up, grabbed the backboard, and did it again. It was a good example for the young guys there. I'm sure they were feeling some pain, feeling cold, feeling tired, but you just getting out there and doing it, not complaining, I'm sure they just looked up at you, saw you doing it, and just followed in suit. He didn't show any signs of, or complain, or show any signs of being tired until we were driving home on Highway 4 back to Richmond, and he looked at me. He didn't say he was tired, but he just said, dude, that was some work. And that was all we got from him. Dude, that was some work. He still never told me that he was tired. And during that whole time, he still had a smile on his face. And I told him I recognized it, and I wanted to give him credit for that, for the positivity that he displays. And he said, man, that's nothing compared to my mom. So Mama Nguyen, she had a fight with cancer, not once, but twice. And she battled it twice, came out on top every time. Every day she was in that fight, she was fighting with a smile on her face. And Mama Nguyen, thank you for showing Tony that strength of and power of positivity and giving him that no-quit attitude. To my man there, Tony, hey, thank you for representing our crew, man, and making my job a lot easier, representing our department very well. That's all I got to say about that. So I'd like to introduce to y'all my brother, my engineer, my driver, Tony Nguyen, and Richmond Zone.
Hey, Mikey, thank you, man, for speaking for me. It's a moment I'll always share with you, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Now that I'm up here, the way this chamber is set up, all we need is music and lyrics on these screens, and we can have a legit karaoke night. Yeah. Y'all come, you know. Throughout my entire adolescence, I played various sports, and I always chose my number to be 5. And for some reason, 5 just deeply resonates with me, so it took on significance. At the age of 18 or 19 years old, I wouldn't say I was depressed, but concerned about my path in life and my purpose. You know, and I longed for a career in service. At the time, I was working at Best Buy in Pinole, and the very next day, I'm the employee in the front who greets you as you enter and checks your receipt as you exit. My coworker found an item on the ground. She could have thrown it away or given it to someone else, but she brought it to me. And it was this Fisher-Price fire truck toy. And as I was examining the toy, I saw a firefighter on the front, and on the firefighter's head is a helmet. And on the firefighter's helmet is the number 5. So this was after an evening of just sincere prayers. You know, I prayed to the universe for a sign, for direction, for guidance. And in that moment, I had a decision to make. Is this a coincidence, or do I acknowledge the reception of my prayer? And it was an easy decision because I felt the sign. I shed a tear. It could have been 1, 2, 11, 23, any number, but it was 5. So that's how I knew to put forth all my efforts into pursuing the fire service. So fast forward to, that was 2008, fast forward to 2013. I get hired by the Richmond Fire Department. And being a local from Richmond, I'm blessed to protect and serve the community that I'm from. So it's crazy how the universe works. And you know, this is a life highlight. And fast forward to present day, here I am up at a podium getting promoted to the next rank in the fire department. So another life highlight. So I'd like to thank all of you, all the family attendants, in sharing this experience with me and actually our life highlight. So thank you to all of you. You are the real MVP. So give yourself a round of applause. Yeah. What? Wow, how serendipitous, man. Yeah, thank you for that. Real, man. I would like to use my time up here at the podium to express my gratitude. I got to give credit where credit is due because I did not do this on my own. There are many people who contribute to my success. Chief Shepherd and Chief Usher Start, you gentlemen are ultimately responsible for promoting me and trusting that I'll engineer the apparatus, so I appreciate that. Battalion Chief Moulton, during my tenure at 64, you allowed both 64 crews to be at the tower all day. And oftentimes you'd show up to the tower, you'd hang out for a bit, you'd always offer to get us something if we needed. So I really appreciate you for creating the environment for success. Thank you. To Battalion Chief Bontempo. Chief Bontempo is the A shift battalion chief. So as C shift is getting off duty, A shift is coming on duty. And from a period from June 2016 to January 2017, instead of going home immediately, I would just stay and spend the day on A shift, or at least a few hours. At 64, we house the spare apparati. So Chief, not once did he ever say no. He always allowed me to get the necessary repetitions in. You know, a lot of crews are busy, so a lot of times I was at the tower by myself. And he always allowed me. He was always supportive and encouraging, so I appreciate that, Chief Bontempo. To my former crew of Engine 64C, good old Tom Phelps. A lot of coaches are players' coaches. Tom is a firefighter's captain. He was very selfless with his time, with his 2 cents. Every shift, he'd approach me and say, hey, Tony, what do you need? What do you want to work on today? So if I wanted to throw the aerial all day, he'd throw the aerial all day. If I wanted to draft all day, he would draft all day. So Tom, I appreciate your selflessness, man, and you had a huge contribution to my success. AJ Schindler. So this is one of the rarest experiences of friendship one can ever have. In 2015, AJ bought a house, and he was looking for a roommate. Serendipitously, I was looking for a place to live. So I'm moving with AJ. I was working at Station 64 on C shift. AJ was also working at Station 64 on C shift. So not only did we live together, we worked together at the same station on the same shift. He was literally in my life every day. And oddly enough, I know what it's like to have a husband. But for that, I'm grateful, man. You're a few years older than me, so you became my big brother. You always had my back. You always protected me. And while we're living together, we had some amazing life experiences. We traveled the world. We created magical moments. There's so many stories that we could share where fortune was on our side. And when it came to this engineer stuff, man, you whenever we trained, you laced with the game. So I appreciate you, man. I love you. Mikey V. Mikey V. Mike is like that cool uncle who has a lot of life experience and always has knowledge to bestow upon you. You have a great work ethic, and when we're together, we never slow down. We'd show up at the station around 6 a.m., 6:30. We'd take care of our morning duties. We'd double team the station duties, dailies and weeklies. We'd round our crews up, go to the tower, train all day, oftentimes through lunch. We'd get back, take care of any more station maintenance or station improvements. We'd cook dinner, and cooking at 64 is like cooking for 10 mouths. We'd clean up after dinner, play rounds of cards, clean up again, and then we'd whip out our books and study until 1 or 2 in the morning. And we did that every day, every shift for months. And we did that side by side, man. So for that, I'm so grateful for you. Te amo mucho. Stephen Harris. I was Stephen's firefighter for a period of time. We were at 64 together, and we went to 68, came back down to 64. Steve, you always made work fun, and you were my captain on the truck at the time, and you were helpful with anything and everything I needed. You allowed me to drive the truck every day. You allowed me to throw the aerial anywhere in the city at any time, and those were some of the most helpful reps I've had. So thank you for that contribution. Appreciate you, Steve. Sansi Quillen, our queen at 64. Sansi, you've now arrived at the latter part of your career. You have a lot of years in the fire service to reflect on, and as you reflect upon them, I urge you to reflect on the positive influence you had as a senior engineer. Within the past 5 years, you're responsible for at least 2 handfuls of individuals that highly scored and successfully promoted. The running joke is that if you can pass the Sansi Academy, you can pass the engineer's exam. And it's so true. You drilled us hard, but you made us rise to the occasion. So Sansi, I thank you for investing into each of us for when you didn't even have to. To the former crew of Engine 64A, this crew right here had a huge contribution to my success. As I borrowed a spare apparatus to train, more times than not, this crew would join me at the tower and help me train, all while getting their own training in. Mike Rodriguez, you've been my captain now for the past few months, and it's been an honor being your driver. You're one of the most knowledgeable people I know. You can retain a myriad of information and later explain it in a way that we can understand. You got this really strong spidey sense. I don't know if this is something you developed while in the military or something you had your whole life, but you have this very strong intuitive sense of what's gonna happen and what needs to happen. You have a childlike sense of humor, so shifts are always lighthearted. We're always having full of laughs. You genuinely consider your guys and are always taking care of your crew. So I'm grateful to be your driver. Chris Tapia. Chris Tapia had a huge contribution to my promotion. Whenever I would stay and train, you would role play as a proctor and grade me after every evolution. And that was extremely helpful. It made clear what I need to work on. It simulated testing atmosphere, and you always kept it real. You'd help me set up equipment, you help me break down equipment. Back at the station, you provide me with more tips and techniques. You didn't have to, but you invested a lot of time in me. And for that, I'm grateful. You're loved, you're missed, and you're appreciated. Chris Silvis, formerly known as Cub Scout. It was your last station rotation where you got to finish probation, and I got to be around for your final months. You personally loaded a lot of hose for me. Your crew spent a lot of time with me at the tower. You were always helpful. You have experience in the fire service and military service, so you always had great insight. And you loading all the hose for me really gave me all the quality reps I needed. And thank you for your help, Chris. And thank you to all the military veterans. Your service is appreciated. Some quick shout outs. Del DeSamparo, you coached me quite a bit on the truck. Ben Faulkner, a selfless source of knowledge. I've never seen a grown man with such colorfully coordinated notebooks. He had the color divided tabs, the different inks and markers, different font sizes. To my former crew, Paul Schmidt, my favorite vegan of all time. Lorenzo Tiscarino, my fellow entrepreneurial kindred spirit. Dan Kennedy, my first captain upon promotion. And my militia MDC family. Go ahead and make some noise. Let them know you're in the building, man. Yeah. Love y'all. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm blessed to be from the tribe that I'm from. For a family our size, surprising there isn't any dysfunction. You know, we love each other unconditionally. We support each other in all of our endeavors. Our next generation is growing, and we're instilling those values within them too. So thank to all of you for positively influencing my life. You're all mentors in your own way. To my dad, you were always a walker instead of a talker. You exemplify self-sufficiency. You know, growing up until this day, you did everything yourself. If there was a home project or something was broken, you fixed it. You were never down with paying for something you could do for yourself. And that's one thing I've always admired you. You know, you're the handiest. And I thank you for instilling within me a work ethic, self-sufficiency, and doing everything with joy. I appreciate you. And my mom, a walking inspiration. In her younger years, I forget the name, but she was diagnosed with a medical condition where she was infertile. Being one of 8 children, and each of her siblings have 3 to 7 kids themselves, it broke her heart. But what did she resort to? She resorted to prayers. And she prayed and prayed and prayed until one day, she got me. My mom was also a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Let me say that again. 2-time breast cancer survivor. Woo! Wow. And being by her side, I witnessed what got her through her battles, and that was her mindset. You instill within me the attitude of gratitude, and that we all have the power to decide on our attitudes, no matter the circumstance or situation. You've been my most influential mentor in life. You didn't teach me through your words, but you taught me through your being. You've raised me well, and I love being your son. Thank you for all you've done for me, and I have an infinite amount of love for you. I love you, Mom. And congratulations to Noah and Nick. Noah, Nick, Frankie and Mikey, Artie and Pat. You're all outstanding gentlemen, and it's an honor to share in this life highlight of yours. Thank you.
All that attention to 5, you know, the irony is not lost that you missed the 5-minute timeline. That's not lost, okay? Woo!
You said 5 minutes.
2, yeah, but you went over 5. Yeah. So, you know, Tony can be considered the personality of the Richmond Fire Department, and as many people said, he works very hard. He does. And one day, I just want to share this bit. One day, I was off to drive through the city, and I drove by the training division. And I seen Tony out there in civilian clothes, knocking down weeds. I said, I hope I'm not paying overtime for this. So I pull in, I said, what's he doing over here? And the chief said, well, he's knocking down weeds. I said, we're paying him for that? He said, no. And so I walked up to Tony and I said, why are you doing this? He says, I walked by and I seen that there were weeds, and I wanted to take care of them. I want to take pride in what we do. You have a great deal of pride, and I'm so proud to know you. And I'm very proud that you're getting promoted, and I know that there's going to be more promotions in the future for you. But while you're in this capacity, I know you're going to do a great job. And so as your father comes up, and hopefully I say it right, Huang? Okay. Please come forward to pin him. Thank you for your service. I really appreciate you, sir. Congratulations, brother. I also want to say, other times when I drive by the stations, you're always out doing something, working hard. So when they said that you work from 7:30 to 7:30, you really do. Very proud. So let's see, we're down to our last person, huh? Wow. So firefighter Kyle Mallinger in the room? There he is. How could I miss you? Yeah. So firefighter Kyle Mallinger will be speaking for engineer Mike Velazquez.
Good evening, everybody. Save the best for last, huh? So my name is Kyle Mallinger, firefighter, obviously Richmond Fire Department. I'm speaking on behalf of newly appointed engineer Mike Velazquez. I want to start off first by thanking all of the families here. You have no idea how important it is for you to come support your individual promotees as well as the department showing your support. Also want to show my support and thank the Velazquez family, Amy, and all the kids. I know Mike has relied on you huge for all the endless nights of studying and questions and coming home late, coming to work early to get to the point to where he is. And that dedication to his family and to the job translates into the fire service. Engineer Velazquez is someone who takes pride upon taking care of his family. Every time I ask him, what do you do this 4-day? It's I'm going to go home, I'm taking my kids to soccer practice, baseball practice, dance lessons for his youngest daughter, Ariella, family trips, working on the house. It's giving back to the family, and that comes directly back to the fire service. We're a family. It takes each of us helping each other out, going above and beyond what we normally have to do to take care of each other. So I want to thank you. So a little history of how Mike got to where he is. Yeah, I grew up in East LA, and he's come all the way to Richmond, but kind of one of the turning points in his life of his ingenuity was when he was 16 and he worked at an In-N-Out food truck in LA. He told me all the stories of all the kind of the different people he got to meet, Jay Leno, Shaq, Kobe, and how he used to cook carne asada on the flat top grill and mix it in with the burgers to make the ultimate burger. So I guess he got in trouble for that because it took the In-N-Out smell out of the air, but I'll applaud you for it. Engineer Velazquez is not new to the fire service. He has 19 years of dedicated service to the fire service and to his communities. He started at a young age on a hand crew up in Butte County, California, where he worked, promoted on to Cal Fire, worked for the city of Chico for 10 years, serving that community, and we were both hired here in Richmond in 2016 as part of the lateral class. And it's good to see another classmate here, Frank Marin, also being promoted to engineer, and all the rest of my classmates in the back. I've always kind of looked up to Mike. When I was hired in Chico, he was actually one of our academy coordinators, and he always had that help, that drive. He was there to help you, wasn't there to try to show you what you don't know. He was trying to bring you up and make you an equal. And that was something that kind of stuck with me, how we could rattle off all the facts about ladders and the engine and the fire service just off the top of his head. It just kind of just struck me. He was also a leader in that academy and is also a leader in our 2016 lateral academy. Kind of gravitate towards those people that he just has that presence, that welcoming presence, always that smile. He never has his head down, never lets a bad day get a hold of him. That leadership quality also translated into the 2018 academy, to where he helped teach those recruits the Richmond way and the ways of the fire service. And now to the position of engineer. So in addition to his work ethic, it takes someone's personality. And I think a lot of us who have worked with Mike at any point of time can say he's a pretty emotionless guy. And when I say that, it's a good thing. He only has two emotions, happy and really happy. It can be long nights at the firehouse. It can be driving into work early in the morning. I've never seen Mike with a frown on his face, never heard him regret, never heard him say, oh man, I'm tired. I'm not looking forward to this. Whether it's the 20th call or the second call of the night, he's always happy. He's always there. He's always bringing you up. No matter how bad of a day you're having, he's always the ear to let you just vent your frustration, and then you just see that big grin back, just that big smile, and it just kind of helps relax you. Another attribute of Mike is that he's extremely respectful. He's respectful of people's feelings. He's always there, like I said, to listen to you, bounce ideas off. He doesn't judge you for how crazy your idea is. I've had some pretty wacky ideas. He lets me express it, and then he kind of clips my wings and brings me back down and says, okay, now let's get back on track to reality. The pride in his work, especially as an engineer. There's a lot of jobs for an engineer when they first show up on the fire scene, and Mike has those all lined out. He takes care of every single one because he knows that if something doesn't happen on the fire scene on the engineer side, everyone's going to be looking at him. He knows he has to take pride in that position to make it work. And I know I kind of had to cut this up a little bit to be with my 5-minute time frame, but hopefully with all these attributes and the words Mike's going to have to say is, I know this is not going to be the last time we're going to be up here pinning a badge on Engineer Velazquez. He's going to keep pushing, keep challenging himself, keep trying to bring up those around him, keep trying to better the department, keep trying to better the community, and more importantly, keep trying to better his family, who's been here to support him, and we are his family, and his real family in the back. So I want to present everybody Engineer Mike Velazquez.
All right, good evening. All right, you know these tall people out here, huh? Sheesh. All right. All right, good evening. I'd like to start off saying that I'm honored to be able to share this day with all the new promotees here today. It's a real pleasure. It's an exciting day, and it is a day that all of us will have in common for the rest of our careers. Next, I'd like to thank Fire Chief Shepard, Deputy Chief Usher, Training Director Chief Osorio, and all the other chiefs that have been influential to getting me to this next level. It's always nice to see that the hard work is paying off. And thank you guys. And there's plenty others out there that I could just keep going around the room and just saying thank you. I can't thank you enough. Every one of us promoting today has our own story, as you have heard tonight. Many of you know me and my story as well, so I won't bore you talking about my 19 years in the fire service, 5 kids ranging from 6 to 20, don't ask me their names or their birthdays, 2 dogs, 13 chickens, 2 ducks, and my amazing wife, Amy. As you can tell, we'd be here for a long while. But if there is one thing that I can leave you with tonight, and that is to honor your family. I'm not only talking about your family at home, but I'm talking about your brothers and sisters that are sitting right next to you right now. Or when you go and exchange your shift change on that other piece of fire equipment on your next shift. You see, it's a given. Your family is always number one, no questions asked. But we must give honor and respect to each other. Why? Simply because we deserve it. We need each other. Let's be honest. You can bring any situation from home to the firehouse, and I guarantee you we can figure it out over a fresh pot of coffee. Our profession is a network, if you haven't figured that out yet. I can ask for anything, no matter how ridiculous, and bring it to the firehouse kitchen table anytime, any day or night, and at least one person will know a guy to help you with what you need to fix, whatever is going on at home. We all have been there, some more times than others, unfortunately. But let's not forget, our firefighting lifestyle does not work both ways. The things we see, do, encounter on the streets can always be repeated to anyone else but us. Not many truly understand what we go through every shift. So what do? We protect our families by keeping those experiences within our companies. We protect each other by way of training, making sound decisions, and checking in on each other's well-being. And in turn, we protect the great citizens of the city of Richmond from situations they can no longer handle. We come together in time of need for each other. And that is what I love so much about the fire family. So, with that said, let's not forget to honor us. Lastly, but definitely not least, to my beautiful, amazing, and hardworking wife, thank you. How and what you do for our family on the day-to-day is beyond me. I appreciate you to the world's end. You are truly my better half. Thank you for the support through the process. And when things got stressful, thank you for keeping me grounded. I could not have done this without you. I love you and thank you. Thank you everyone for coming.
Right. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Mike come into this profession. And you interview a lot of people, they come through and, you know, next. And he gave a really inspirational interview. But unfortunately, I didn't put his name down on the paperwork when he was giving his comments. And so Chief Usher and I were sitting in the room and we were trying to decide, you know, who to hire, who not to hire. And the only thing I could remember was his sideburns. Anybody remember those sideburns that he had? I'm glad you cut them off. But I said, that guy with those sideburns, you know, those sideburns that come down here, I can't believe he interviewed like that, but he was great. And I'm so glad that you had something that made you stand out other than the sideburns. You were amazing, and you have lived up to those words that you said that you were going to do, who you were going to be to serve. And when you talk about family, and you talk about serving family, and it's obvious you have a great deal of love for your family, to include your extended family here in the Richmond Fire Department. But also, this man is on the color guard here in the fire department, and he serves and honors those who have come and passed in this profession, and that is truly inspirational. So thank you for all of that. Amy, where are you at? Where are you at, Amy? Please come on up. Mike is going to be pinned by his beautiful wife, Amy. So before we conclude, if I can just have all of the promotees stand up and do an about face, and if we can just give them collectively a round of applause. And if you continue standing, please. So congratulations to each of you on your individual, your professional, and your family achievement. The countless hours of studying, rehearsing, and the family support that you received has definitely paid off. And I look forward to your continued success. Now, I asked if you guys would be going out for dinner or something like that. Did we decide? I don't know if you're individually going out or something like that. Individually. Just be safe when you're out there. If you're celebrating, make sure that get an Uber if you're drinking so you don't drive. Have a good time, and if you, get some good food. And as I've said before, if you don't like eating on an empty stomach, stop at the bar. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you.